Hey guys, so I wanted to jump on here with the holidays coming up and everything, and I know with COVID everyone needs jobs, extra jobs, stuff like that, so I really wanted to make this video of how to get a job at Target. I currently work at Target. I've been working there for over 2.5 years right now, so that's pretty crazy. I honestly really wanted to film this before COVID happened and everything, but then everything got hectic, so I'm going to tell you how generally to get a job at Target and then how it's a little bit different now because of COVID. So definitely stay tuned for the best tips and stuff that worked for me and that may work for you. Obviously different Targets are different, but these are what worked for me and the general idea of how to do it. So the first step obviously is to do the normal application process. They don't do any in-person on paper application processes, so don't even worry about getting to the store. Just do it online on your computer, on your phone. I do have to say it does take a little while. I think it takes like 40 minutes to an hour to do because there's a lot of different things you need to put on there. It's very intensive, I feel like, because it has like a questionnaire and everything. So definitely when you go sit down and do it, definitely have some time, because I'm not for sure. I think you can get up and save it, but sometimes it's just best all to get it done at once so don't forget about it and it's sitting there forever. And then obviously the positions do matter when you apply, so I'm going to tell you them right now. So there's a lot of different positions there. There's so many that I can't even say all of them. I would have to sit down and really write all of them down. But the best positions in my opinion is beauty, the one that I work in, for many, many reasons. Basically any position on the floor, you can take your break whenever you want, so that's super nice. A lot of the other ones you kind of have to work around other people's stuff like that, so it's like not as flexible. So that's one thing that I like about beauty, and it has a lot of good perks too for beauty, but I think that's the top one just because I'm in it and I do like it. You get a lot of free stuff, you get good hours, stuff like that. Moving on. So the next one I would say is cashier, if you like that stuff. I know some people don't like cashiering, so I definitely would obviously not choose it if you don't like cashiering. The thing is, cashiering for my store and some other stores, you are doing it for such a long time, and I feel like on the busy days, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much. And at least with beauty, you can keep doing your thing, you do the freight, stuff like that, and you don't really necessarily have to work with people consistently, as in with cashiers, it's like, go, go, go all the time sometimes. And I feel like for me, that's a little much. Every time I want to go into a shift, I don't want to be like bombarded all the time. But cashier, a lot of people like it. It's a good experience, and that's fun and nice if you like that to get a job. Oh, also, I want to mention, Target is starting at $15, which is so high. I'm like, do I even deserve $15? Obviously, I'm not going to say anything, but it's like, 15 bucks? Like, what the heck? I've never made that much. And it's just crazy because with no degree and everything, you're making 15 bucks. And like, it's crazy to me. So that is a plus of working at Target. The next one I think is pretty good is OTC, personal care, stuff like that. That's all obviously like toothpaste, medicine, probiotics, all that stuff. And that's super easy because you're on the floor. It's basically beauty, but you just are in a different section and you're doing your own thing. You do freight and you can take your break whenever you want. It's super, super nice. So that is another two good options. So it's called GM, General Merchandise. Beauty is obviously called like beauty team member, something like that. And cashier is called guest advocate, stuff like that online. So the worst, I'm just going to say it, the worst positions that I personally think that are at Target. So obviously if you work there, I'm sorry, maybe you think it sucks or maybe you think it's good. This is just my opinion. And I think the worst is seasonal because every like few weeks you're gonna have to change it up and there's just so much stuff back there. So it's just like, I would not want that. I hate carrying those heavy shelves all the time. So it's like, at least in beauty and in a lot of the other positions and places, you don't do revisions, which is when you take off the whole shelf basically and redo it and get new products in, take old products out. But with seasonal, you literally have to take it all down, start from 0% and work all the way back up to 100% capacity. And so it's like, oh my gosh, that's so much, especially for Christmas, Thanksgiving, literally every holiday. And I'm like, that's just too much for me. I'm not about that. But obviously, if that's the only way you can get in, go do that. Also, there is a thing that is behind some or in front, I can't remember, some of the positions during the holidays is seasonal. That means you are only working during the season. And you could not have that job after the season's over, but they sometimes do like keeping seasonal people on if you do a good job and you come to work, all that stuff. So definitely, if you do get in seasonal, there can be your little pathway into staying there. My next one is furniture, so that would be also GM, and it's like, I think it's called domestics online, not really for sure. But furniture, that's just a lot too because it's just so heavy of stuff. I'm like, this is so much. So I definitely would pass that. There's also sporting goods, which is okay. I'm just not into that, so it's like I don't want to do that. There's toys, all that stuff. So obviously you can get into GM and do a lot of different ones. So definitely kind of see which GM position they are looking for. But furniture for me is just like no, because it's also heavy. Also with chem, I had to do a U-boat the other day with that, and it was huge Tide things, and I was like lifting them up like, oh, like shoving them on a shelf. Do not do that. That one sucked too. So just like, okay, if you're a small person and not strong, obviously, these will probably be more of your ones you want to pass on. So take that in consideration. And then, like I said, cashier also kind of sucks if you do have a really long shift in it because you're like, oh my gosh, like this is never gonna get over. And there's so many Karens talking to me. It's just a lot. So that's why getting on the floor is a little nicer because then you don't have to deal with people as much. And then electronics, that one's okay. I just don't love it because you have to get big TVs down, and I actually don't know much about electronics. I know like what works, how it works, stuff like that. But then people start asking me like very in-depth questions. I'm just reading it off the back. I'm like, yeah, the Nintendo Switch does this, 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 and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh, thank you. I'm like, yep, here you go. So it's like, I don't really know much about that, so I wouldn't want to work there. Such expensive things go back there. It's like, I do not want to mess up anything on accident and then get in trouble for that because it's so expensive. Yeah, sending your application online is the best option, and I would send it in as soon as possible because they're starting to hire. They hire all year round, honestly, but they do, like, obviously once you get your application and they can finally look at it. If you dilly-daddle and wait too long, then obviously they're not going to get your application, so send that in as soon as possible online. My biggest tip for this is sometimes call a few days after you sent your application and ask for the HR, and make sure when you talk to the HR, say your name so that can kind of resonate in their head and be like, oh yeah, like I remember talking to this person, so then maybe I'll pass them through better and quicker than someone else who maybe didn't call. And sometimes it is really hard to get a hold of people there because, you know, people have their days off, people are busy maybe the time you're calling, so definitely like stay a little persistent with it and definitely say your name because then it will stick in their head a little better, and you may have to play phone tag a little bit and try to get hold of them, but it definitely will be worth it a little bit. And if you think you're annoying, maybe, but you're going to be remembered a little bit more. So okay, another big thing is when you're applying, have a very large availability because I don't know why. I don't know if it's just Target or it's just my Target, but I know some Targets are really big on like having almost all your time spent at Target. Like they do like you having another job, but they do like when you are mainly just working there because obviously they want to see that commitment that you are working for them and not trying to just work everywhere else too. Because I know we had a beauty person, she did get hired, but then she mentioned to my boss that she was still waiting on some other jobs getting back to her. So he's like, oh no, then like if you're not committed to working here, then we don't want you. I know that sounds a little harsh, but that's what happened because a lot of people who have been working here and who are consistent here for many years, they're like, we don't want people just bouncing in and out because we want people who actually stay here so we aren't screwed over when people call in all the time. So he just passed her along, was like, nope, like if you're looking elsewhere, then we'll just have to pass. So definitely know that your availability probably needs to be open. I'm pretty sure they want you to at least work every other weekend at the most, or at least every weekend one of those days. So definitely make sure you have one of those days open because that's obviously the peak times of when people go shopping and stuff, so definitely they look for that. My next biggest tip, I don't know if this is going to be embarrassing to say, but it's very important to, if you don't get it, wait till the time limit is done until you can apply again and get it, because it took me 3 times to apply at Target to get the job. I first applied cashier, didn't get it, waited like 6 months because I was like, hey, whatever, it's fine. And then like 6 months later, I applied again. I was like, okay, cashier, here we go, let's go again. And then I didn't get it. I was like, oh crap. So then I was like, okay, let's try something else. Let's try beauty a few months later. And then I finally got it and I was like, yes. Which honestly, I feel like it was like a godsend because I honestly love beauty. I love everything that entails with that rather than just doing cashiering. Because I like how I can pick up cashier shifts all the time and make it a little different all the time when I work, but cashiers, like, it's really hard once you are a cashier to be trained in other locations. So I think that was really a godsend for me, and I love where I ended up, even though I tried 3 times. Shoot your shot. You will make it at least sometime, hopefully. But I mean, 3 times a charm, right? So make sure, don't get discouraged if they send you that email saying like, oh, we're not looking anymore, or oh, you didn't get the position, stuff like that, because half the time maybe like your name didn't even like pass by, or they chose a name before you and they're like, okay, I don't even know who this Kaitlin Sonday person is, let's just, nope, no job. So definitely stay persistent with that, and eventually you will probably get a job there. So definitely maybe try for different positions too. Like if you're not getting cashier, try a different one, because honestly I bet a lot of people just want to apply for cashiering because they don't realize how many other options there are and how good they can be compared to cashiering. So definitely try doing different ones as well. Oh, I forgot to mention, another really good position is fulfillment, and that is basically picking items off the shelves, putting them in a box, and shipping them to places. Obviously, like, you don't ship them, you just put them on a pallet, or it's you pick up items throughout the store, bring them to the front store, put them in bags, put them for drive-ups and carry-outs. So that is a really good one. I would say there's a good and bad of that position, but I mainly see it as good because it's fun. It makes your shift go really, really fast. So definitely if you see fulfillment, I don't know what it's exactly called online, fulfillment, OPU, could be called inventory. That's what's listed on the schedule sometimes. So definitely try to like read and see if that's an option, because that is also a very good position to do. But I know it can be high stress when you're consistently working in that position, so that's why I don't think it's the best. But for me, I like doing it every once in a while, so take that as you will. And so lastly, go to the interview like 15 minutes early. Obviously, like they say, dress casually. Some people dress really high and nice, and some people dress very casual. So definitely like stay in the middle, like wear jeans, a nice shirt, or a flannel, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, because we're really not that formal at all, at least where I am in Nebraska. So maybe in like New York ones, they want you to be fancier, but at a lot of Targets, I feel like it's very casual. It's like, okay, go to your interview, go a little early. Just know sometimes you do wait. At least in my Target, I know people wait usually a good while before they get their interview, before they get orientation, stuff like that. But obviously come early so you are ready. But I just want to tell you that sometimes you do have to wait. So make sure you don't schedule something right after that, because you may be waiting there for a while and have to wait on them for like up to 30 minutes or so. So definitely don't have something right after your interview time that you're technically supposed to be there and technically when it's supposed to be done, because you might have to either miss that last thing you have after, or you have to reschedule and you came in for no reason. Okay, so I'm going to quickly tell you what a little bit is different from the application process and hiring and everything. So the application process is the same. I would say call and make sure they get your name, because this is extra pointed now because they're not going to see you until a long time. So then once you get that interview, it's now you record a video. It's not in person, which is kind of crazy to me, because like obviously I feel like during a video I am not the same person as I am in person. So it's like, especially for like working jobs, I'm like, so yeah, it's just weird to not have that personal component of it. So definitely know that you're going to be recorded after the application process, after they want to interview, and then you might do 1 or 2 interviews. I only had to do 1, which was nice, but I've heard a lot of people doing 2, even before COVID, and now I think it may be 2. I don't really know, but they basically send you prompts of questions. You have like 10 or 30 seconds, or I don't know how long, a little bit, to kind of think of something in your head, and then it just automatically starts recording you on your like phone. I don't know if you can do it on your phone or your computer. So definitely know that the interview process is online now, not in person. So really present yourself well, really show your personality on the video, and just really try to get as much as you need said and done the video within the amount of time. And like I said, they really care about availability, so definitely try to have a very open availability, because that will help raise your chances of getting the job, as well as make your online interview really well, because that's another like big step of getting that job. I know when we did in-person interviews, it depends on the person, depends on who's hiring you. Sometimes they may be harder, sometimes they may not. When I got hired, my questions were pretty easy, but I've heard some other people's questions and sometimes like it's a little harder, so that's a little intimidating. But definitely like it's nothing like crazy that they're gonna ask. Just like present yourself well when you get the interview and everything like that. And then orientation, once you get the job, is in person. So that's really nice. And that's when you can actually get to the store. You can get a tour and get to know everything and how to do stuff. And then you finally start working. So I hope these tips really helped you guys. I really love working at Target, honestly. It's the best job I've ever had so far because they just pay so well. The environment is super nice. And just like the vibes there, the discounts there, and all the perks you get. Working there, you get a lot for food sometimes, stuff like that. So I hope this helped, like I said, and if you guys have any other questions about getting a job at Target, please comment them down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys!